So good morning, everyone, to our Research and Innovation Europe Let's Cooperate 2021, and for the launch of the 2021-2027 Interreg Europe program. We are very happy to be with you this morning. It's going to be a great session, a lot of learnings and exchanges with our speakers and everyone on the table. So I see people quickly joining in. So welcome to from my side. Welcome to everyone joining us. I see people are moving. Yeah, great to see 148 persons already. So my name is Arnaud Morrison. I'm one of the thematic experts in research and innovation at the Policy Learning Platform. And with Mark here, we are going to moderate this great session, and we are going to be together for 60 minutes. So Mark, words of welcome from your side as well.
Yeah, thanks Arnaud. Mark Pattinson here is one of the dynamic duo on the innovation research policy learning team. So it's always a great pleasure to have these sessions, and particularly with the opportunity for preparing the next calls for the Interreg Europe as we move into a new set of challenges and societal mission-oriented approaches for the next year. So it's great to be sharing these first steps for the new Interreg program with you today.
Thank you, Mark. Christaps, you hear word of welcome from your side as well.
Thank you, Arnaud. Welcome, everybody. I'm really happy to see that more than 200 people already joining. Together with my colleague Anna, we are representing here the Joint Secretariat of Interreg Europe program, working directly together with you, Mark, and Arnaud on mainly topic of innovation. I'm really happy to see so many people interested in this topic, because it's going to become just more and more important in the next programming period and in the next program, obviously.
Thank you, Christaps. And good morning, Anna. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Arnaud. I'm very good. Thank you. Good morning to our viewers and to our speakers. It's my pleasure to be here this morning, and especially to see Margaret and Luke, both representing projects that I'm rather lucky to monitor smoothly, if I may add. The idea of the session was actually to present what has been done so far on the program level, as a lot has been done, a lot has happened now that we're coming towards the end of this programming period, but also to bring attention to a few concepts which will very much be present in the new programming period, as you'll probably be able to see tomorrow morning at the dedicated session. So not to take any more time, I wish you a pleasant hour with us. And in case you have any questions, we are very much here during the entire session. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So let's move on. I have a short overview on the agenda for our session today. So after the introduction, Anna and Christaps are going to give us a little overview on results and program achievements. And then time for interregional learning and exchanges. We are two very good keynote speakers. We have Luc Hulsman from Northern Netherlands. Good morning, Luc. You can say hi to the audience.
Good morning, Arnaud. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Luc. And we also have Margaret Quinn from Urnac, Ireland. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
So we are going to delve with Luc and Margaret to see like some of the key policy concepts for the next programming period 2021-2027. Time for questions and answers. So please use the chat to send us questions to Luc and Margaret. And at the end, we are going to see what are our next key events. But before we move on, let's ask questions to everyone. For the audience, so you can use if you go to sessions and then polls, you can answer our short polls here. And we have a questions for you. Have you ever participated in an Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform research and innovation event in 2020 or 2021? So it's very easy. It's a yes or no answer. So if you've participated, please tell us yes or no, and then tell us in the chat. Okay, if you have participated in one of our events, which one was your favorite? But let's do a round table here. Mark, which event was your favorite event in 2020 or 2021?
I'm going to cheat and give you two answers, Arnaud. I think the peer review meetings that we did face to face that moved into digital mode last year were a surprising success, in the sense that the stakeholders were engaged and really participated. I've got, I don't want to name names, but I've got a very good memory of the one we organized in Norway, which in fact was probably the first one, but it really set the benchmark. And then yesterday, very recently, I was in Paris for the first face-to-face and mixed digital online, and we had about 50 people in the room. And the highlight was when, in the sum up from DG Grow, they said, and don't forget to check out the policy learning platform briefs. And he mentioned too, and that was a revelation that we are connecting with not only with the Interreg regional authority community, but also with other DGs, and we're cascading through this policy learning tool. So that gave me a little smile, which I'd just like to share with you.
Great to hear, Mark. Indeed, policy briefs on clusters, great policy briefs that we have here. Yep. What about you, Anna? What was your favorite event?
I'm also going to cheat a bit, of course. I'm going to mention two events because I had two different kind of like impressions of the two events, because the dynamic of the discussion was different. The first one was the University Industry Collaboration workshop. I'm personally interested in the topic, and the discussion was quite dynamic, so it kind of stuck in my mind. And the other one, for a bit different reasons as well, was the Fab Labs and Makerspaces. I always mention this one because it was very informative for me as well, because the speakers were very interesting. One of them even connected from Thailand, if I'm not mistaken. So Indonesia, sorry. And yeah, the discussion was really dynamic and contemporary, and yeah, looking forward for more to come.
Great to hear. What about you, Kristaps? Which one was your favorite? Although you're quite new.
Yes, I'm quite new in the secretariat. I've just joined a couple of months ago, but before that I was actually on the side of the project implementers, and therefore I really enjoyed one of the latest events organized by the platform on Industry 4.0, especially because we could see some more previous project partners from Flanders Make and others telling their experiences about their infrastructures and how they're helping companies to actually, with the uptake with this Industry 4.0 concept. So I believe this has a very, very important topic. It's going to just become more and more important, even if we speak about Industry 5.0, as was highlighted by the European Commission in the event.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Thank you, Kristaps. What about you, Margaret? You've been also quite involved in all events. Which one was your favorite?
I did attend the two mentioned by Anna, and I enjoyed them very much. And I'm kind of repeating what Kristaps said. A slight bias because of the Industry 4.0 and the digital transition episode 1. Digital regions was a strong component, and I really enjoyed that because of that reason. But also, it was really interesting to get a different perspective from Flanders. And there were quite a number of areas where there was a lot that resonated with what we'd found in digital regions, but also some new aspects as well. Things like the Van der Kerkhoff mentioned open innovation ecosystems and how important it is for companies to learn from their peers. And the biggest challenges were talent pipeline. No, it was really interesting, but I think the policy learning platform is a real gem, and the policy briefing is also a really interesting resource, which I've used on several occasions, especially around Industry 4.0.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Margaret. Great to hear. And finally, Luc, what was your favorite event?
I will follow Mark in the first example you mentioned, the peer review exercise I participated in Norway, Vestland County. It was about design and implementation of smart specialization strategies, and we talked about prioritization, about EDP, about monitoring, about mission-oriented, so quite a broad range of subjects, but we had really fruitful discussions, I think, there, so it was really a joy to participate in that.
All right, great to hear, Luc. And I can see in the poll, 20% say yes, 80% say no. So we have like a lot of room to grow and for you to join our next events. We will have a talk about it. Next one are clusters, EU industrial strategy, and some great peer reviews in the pipeline. So I will leave the floor now to Anna and Kristaps for their presentation. Anna, Kristaps, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Arno. I will try now to share my screen so that you can see my presentation. I hope it works and you can see it.
It looks good to me.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do a really brief introduction about the program, specifically focusing on research and innovation side of the program, of our achievements so far, and share with you how the program has actually impacted the policies in Europe. So yes, so we're looking back at the program currently, 2014-2020, and in the first, let's say, strand of this research innovation priority, which is innovation infrastructure, we can see that 97 partners from 29 partner states have joined together to implement projects, and overall the 4 calls have been launched by the program and 12 projects have been approved and been implemented. And we can definitely see here that in the topic of research infrastructures, there is a slight bias when it comes to geographical coverage, because we obviously know where the most developed infrastructures are, and hopefully this is going to change in the future as more and more regions in Europe they catch up and also start working on their research infrastructures and opening them up and creating new business models, etc. So plenty of opportunities for new projects here in this area. In the subtopic, which is innovation delivery, we have seen much more projects, and you can see here, and this is really broadly covered geographically as well. We have 466 partners from 29 partner states, and overall 53 projects have been approved and are running or have been running through the 4 calls of the program. So really this subtopic has been really popular, and we can see a lot of cooperation happening in Europe on this topic. And if we look at the specific subtopics of the projects, I guess this slide really highlights how diverse actually the topic of research and innovation is from the program perspective. You have projects who've been working on a cluster development and governance and policies in the clusters, which is really important to an ongoing topic. And we have more projects in the bioeconomy, chemical industry, food, health, sports, tourism, digitalization, and water technologies. So really specifically narrow topics as well, tackled by the projects, and tackling policies dealing, let's say, with water and food, also as a part of innovation. And innovation ecosystems, we of course see projects working on digital innovation ecosystems, open social innovation, infrastructures, public procurement of innovation, open social innovation. So also this social and governance angle is represented. We're not just talking about, research and particular applied activities. And very interesting that we also have some projects dealing with the drones, which is, has been a really hot topic over the last years, and it's probably going to become even more important. E-government, advanced manufacturing, we already mentioned Industry 4.0, photonics, and advanced materials. So really plenty of topics covered by our projects, and we're really happy to see that the program has actually benefited through these topics to policies that address these topics as well. And I guess really important thing is that the program already has surpassed all the targets we have set to ourselves and to the projects. And mind you, these are results achieved by the end of 2020. Here now, with let's say the second half of 2021, and still many projects are running. Still, we have projects developing or finalizing direction plans. Still, there are projects at the stage of experience exchange, and so this number is going to change definitely. But you can see that overall, more than 1,000 good practices have been identified in these topics over the years. 300 action plans have been developed, and all these action plans, I can remind you again, they are linked to the policy improvements. Every region that is implementing an action plan, they're actually striving to improve their policies related to research innovation or their particular subtopics. And we have seen that almost 4,000 people have reported that they're having increased capacity. So really, the program has delivered on these aspects. And when we talk about, let's say, the numbers of really the policy change and how it has affected, let's say, the policy financially, we can see that 77 million euros spent by the program in this particular priority research innovation. The leverage effect is 4.2. So basically, for €1 spent, almost 4.5 euros of policy or fund that has been influenced. So there's a really impact created by you, people who implement the projects, by the organizations. And when you look at the policy changes, of course, it was a precondition of the current program that it should focus mainly on the structural funds programs, but not only. But we can really see that massive majority of the funds influenced and the policy changes are really tackling the ERDF policies of the regions, and we are really happy to see these results here. And just to quickly finalize with this short overview, the policy learning platform, as was already mentioned by colleagues. In this particular priority, the knowledge hub, from all this, more than 1,000 good practices, 495 good practices have been really assessed by the policy learning platform experts, and they are available to you as the best good practices to use on the policy learning platform. 14 policy briefs can be developed, and I really want to highlight that the latest one on the clusters, which is really, I believe, an excellent tool to see an overview of the cluster policies of Europe, and there's already highlights of some synergies between various funding programs, and since the clusters are a really important instrument that's still developing, I really suggest you to take a look at this policy brief. And when we look at the community and workshops and webinars, we already discussed some of those webinars. And of course, there's an expert support. 8 peer reviews have been conducted and 7 matchmakings. And there's, of course, upcoming workshops, and still there are some more peer reviews happening and being planned. So this is not static numbers. We are still in the process of implementing current program, even though we're now moving slightly into new program. And yes, I believe Mark and Anol can tell more if necessary about the upcoming workshop on the clusters on 10th of December, which we also invite you to join. But the clusters driving the green and digital transition. So these are all the topics that's covered by the program, and we are really happy to work with them. So thank you very much. It was really brief overview of the current achievements in the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kristaps. Indeed, lot of great projects and lot of good practices that can inspire the audience in their policies. And I see already people asking okay, public procurement, we have a project called iBuy, but you can have a look at all the good practices as well as we have. Let's move on. Let's move on to our session with our speakers. So here we are going to introduce 4 key policy concepts that are emerging in the next for the next programming period. Let's first introduce our 2 keynote speakers. I mean, we are very lucky to have with us today Margaret Quinn from Ireland, ERNAC, and she's the lead partner in Digital Regions project to promote Industry 4.0 policies at the regional level. And we also have with us this morning Luc Ulsmans from Northern Netherlands. And he's a project in 2 interregular projects. He's a partner there in Beyond EDP, looking at the entrepreneurial discovery process and smart specialization strategy. And also in Clusterify, interregular project to deal with how to promote cluster interregional collaboration into and integrating into value chains. So 2 very good keynote speakers that we have. So warm welcome to you, Margaret and Luc.
Thanks, Anna.
And we are going to discuss 4 different emerging concepts in research and innovation for the next programming period. So with Luc, we are going to look at 2 different concepts. The first one is this policy concept of smart specialization strategy for sustainable and inclusive growth, also known as S4+. So this policy concept really emerged for regions to link their smart specialization strategy and mission-oriented policies for sustainable development. So here, the key idea behind that is that innovation is not only about growth, about competitiveness, but also about transformative changes and to respond to regional societal challenges and to promote inclusive growth. And we had a very nice online discussion last May, and Luc was one of our speakers as well. And we also had a few months ago a workshop on this concept of innovation for grand societal challenges, looking at the role of missions to respond to those societal challenges. And here one of our speakers was Elvira Uyara, where she discussed the role of transformative innovation policies and missions to address societal challenges like pollution, like inclusiveness, like better innovation and so on. And here, like what she mentioned, is that social innovation can really be a driver for better innovation and give directionality. So also to align different stakeholders around a common vision, and this idea to promote also structural changes. And with Margaret, we are going to look at two emerging policy concepts that are very important in the next programming period. So we had last few weeks ago online workshop on Industry 4.0 and digital transition. And here, one of our keynote speakers, Martin Lumer from the DG Research and Innovation at the European Commission, introduced the concept of Industry 5.0. So the concept of Industry 4.0 comes from this idea that digital innovations, robotization coming from Industry 4.0, offer many opportunities for regions, but also many challenges. So here, this idea of Industry 5.0 is about putting, three core pillars, namely sustainability, resiliency, and human-centric approach. So putting more like into this Industry 4.0, like a sustainable, resilient, and human-centric dimension. And also we had a very nice webinar on digital innovation ecosystems, looking at European digital innovation hubs, like this sort of one-stop shop for digital transformation. But I think, Mark, there was a call recently that was launched for the EDH. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about digital innovation hubs?
Yeah, I can do that. Also, just share something that during a conference this week, there was an online survey poll with the attendees about the Industry 4.0, 5.0, and may reassure some of our listeners today that 55% of the audience had never heard of 5.0. So not saying that you heard it first at PLP, but when I saw that, I said, well, we're obviously the message isn't getting out, so it's important that we continue, and the timing is perfect for us to share it today. But on the European Digital Innovation Hub, it's a complex program because it involves a lot of cross-funding from the Digital Europe Fund, regional funds, and also ERDF. So it's quite a complicated setup, but the idea behind it is to organize the ecosystem in each region. And when I say organize, is to make sure the SMEs that are challenged by the digital transition in their industry, in their sector, that they are given rapid access to the right advice. I don't like using the word one-stop shop, but it is meant to be providing access to platforms that give you state-of-the-art support in cybersecurity, high-performance computing, artificial intelligence, blockchain technologies. So SMEs get access to platforms, they can test products and services, but also the ecosystem is trying to package service offer that doesn't involve duplication, replication is to be avoided, and making sure that the SMEs can get rapid and low-cost service provision for the digital transition. As we know, digital transition is closely aligned with the green transition issues. Many of the SMEs are looking at those market opportunities. So this is a way of accelerating SMEs' access to the right services.
Thank you, Mark. And I propose that we move on to questions and discussions with two very good keynote speakers. And please, for the participants in the audience, please do not hesitate to use the chat to ask questions to our speakers. Mark, I leave you the floor for questions to our two speakers.
Yeah, just to start the ball rolling. Luke, we've seen you're involved in a number of projects. Perhaps we could just hear from you beyond EDP, you know, the entrepreneurial discovery process. What do you feel would perhaps been one of the main achievements during that project's lifetime, in your perspective?
Yeah, I'm happy to share with you that because Beyond EDP was really a successful project for us. And by us, I mentioned SNN. We are a regional public authority in the north of the Netherlands. And this project brought us something really concrete, and it was based on what we found in a partner region in Sweden, Östergötland, and we applied what we found there to our own region. And this something concrete is what we call in my region the matrix table. And this matrix is actually a table, not a physical table, but a kind of a physical platform where once a month different actors in the innovation ecosystem, actors from business, from knowledge, from government, and sometimes even society, and all people who are actually involved in the development of new projects, they meet and they share ideas and they connect the initiatives they're working on to other initiatives, to other actors, to networks, to knowledge, and to other funding possibilities. And you know, the idea is to kind of give each initiative or each promising initiative kind of the maximum potential to be successful. And this matrix table, we organized it around our risk-free priority areas. And we will talk about that in a few moments. And the actual initiative was taken by us, by government. But I think one of the really positive elements of this initiative is that almost immediately after we launched the idea, just by organizing a meeting, we several stakeholders, they stood up and they volunteered, again, from different areas, from businesses, from business development, from universities, just to help us to get this idea into something concrete. And what we did, there were like 7 people. We formed an informal group. That was about 2 years ago. And since then, we have been working on improving the concept. And now 2 years later, the table is there. It has become a kind of pillar of the governance structure of our new risk-free, and it has been a huge success.
Well, it's very exciting to hear that. And why do I say exciting? Because I think many of us involved in Interreg Europe projects, Luke, spend the first 18 months visiting, collecting, but actually the real value added is when you can take something, adapt it, and it seems in your case to add value to your innovation ecosystem. And you're using it, because I think we absorb so much information, but having the ability to extract something that you said, right, this is going to work for us in North Netherlands is quite it's a good message to share.
Yeah, in a way we were lucky, I think, in the sense that we just one study visit in a different region in Sweden, and we saw something there, and we immediately thought, oh wow, this is something we could probably use. So.
Yeah. No, I think we don't need to absorb and implement everything we visit and see. It's finding the good fit, and I think that's part of this Interreg Europe process of the phase 1. You mentioned, and Arno also talked about the S4+, which I think for many of our audience today might be quite unusual or unheard of dimension. Do you want to give us a bit more insights into where and how S3 has become S4+?
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. Well, to be honest, for me and for us in the Northern Netherlands, this development of the concept of smart specialization from S3 to S4+, it makes pretty good sense in the sense that when you consider that in my region, we have been on this path already for almost 6 years now. We have put societal challenges kind of at the core of our smart specialization strategy already in 2014, and we will continue to do so in the upcoming period. I would like to mention a report Professor Philip McCann and Luc Sutter, they published about a year ago. And in this report, they more or less laid the foundations for S4 Plus. And they suggest, one of the suggestions they did is to, they say you should make sustainable development an overriding strategic priority in every smart specialization strategy. And I agree with what they said, but in my region, maybe we've taken a little bit different approach in the sense that we have really integrated sustainable development into the priority areas. In our new strategy, we will take 4 what we will call transitions, and one of them being a transition towards renewable energy. And these transitions will be the actual priority choice areas, and they are kind of defined as outer boundaries of an area in which we expect new specialization opportunities to kind of pop up. And the aim of the strategy is to identify those and to foster them into really, eventually, hopefully, new strengths in our region. It means that the transformation itself is not the objective, but the opportunities are. And in their report, McCann and Sutter, they refer to kind of potential trade-offs between smart, inclusive, and sustainable growth. And I agree with them in the sense that kind of conflicts may arise between smart and sustainable, or between smart and inclusive. But when you look at our smart specialization strategy in my region, we really focus on the positive elements, on the potential synergies. And we feel supported, and I think it's interesting maybe for you to know that we feel supported by data we received from our regional innovation monitor, which is an initiative we've taken about 5 years ago. And this monitor focuses on SMEs and innovation. And the data, most recent data, show that the most innovative companies in my region are not only the ones with who invest the most and the most systematically in R&D, research and innovation, but are as well, and it might be surprising, are as well the companies with the strongest societal orientations. And these companies, predominantly, they have a kind of long-term horizon, and they actually prefer long-term sustainability and survival over short-term maximization of projects. And these findings really support us as a regional public authority and a philosophy to really aim to reap those synergies and between the three, so between sustainability and economics.
You probably, Luc, in what you've just been saying there, you've actually answered one of the questions we have online. René Beichnin didn't say where he's from, but he said, what should be the role of the regional government in getting an ecosystem that contributes to transition to sustainability goals? So you've been explaining how the different tools there, your obviously the transition agenda, the 4 transition missions perhaps that you've put forward, and the matrix gives both information and let's say an objective for those other ecosystem players to work with. Would you have anything else to say how you can get that engagement process better aligned?
Yeah, again, I would like to refer again to this report written by McCann and Sutter.
We'll try and put the link up later if we can get on it.
It's really useful to read. I really took a lot from that report, and I would like to mention 3 elements mentioned by them, which I believe are important, but as well much in line with the approach we have taken in my region. First, the importance of local and regional actors. They stress the importance of an effective system of multi-level governance. Each layer kind of focuses on what it is most capable of doing best. And of course, local and regional governments, they have the closest connection to the actors in the field, the actual players who can make things happen and achieve results. And in line with that, they stress the importance of bottom-up initiatives, experimental behavior, and thirdly, I think worthwhile mentioning as well, it's a bit less prominent in the report, but I believe it's really important, is that they mention the possibilities for Horizon and cohesion money to strongly support this, especially this bottom-up led approach. And I fully agree with their recommendation, but at the same time, I believe the question how to do so, how to use this money in the most effective way is an enormous challenge. which I think maybe hasn't received enough attention yet in EU policy making and EU policy implementation. I think the challenge is broader than just sustainable development only. I think questions also we as a government should ask ourselves more prominently is how to design and implement programs, how to actually create incentives, to really create these synergies between economics and sustainability. And in reality, a lot of kind of forces are in play to prevent us achieving an optimal outcome.
Luke, you mentioned there the synergies with Horizon Europe. And
right.
I think it's worth mentioning the fact that we're all familiar with the Horizon Europe presentation, Pillar 1, Pillar 2 with the 6 thematic clusters. And then there's Pillar 3 that gets a little less attention. But from our Interreg community perspective, there are interesting dimensions. They started to use the phrase European innovation ecosystems, and they talk about connecting. So here we're adding the transnational dimension into and territorial dimension, which for a number of years it was taboo. And I think what you're saying there is, you've took lessons from Sweden, you're implementing, and one of the questions I'm just thinking, Karen Hosland, you said, can we get more information on the Regional Innovation Monitor? Getting regional data can be a real challenge. And you're right, Karen. But I think taking one version is the starting point, and then finding the right indicators that fit your ecosystem. More importantly, putting in place the tools to actually collect the data. I mean, Luke, collecting data can be a nightmare. The data arrives and it's already 2 programming periods later. How do you tackle that one? Maybe to help Karen think about this.
Yeah, well, like I said, we started this initiative, this Regional Innovation Monitor, about 6 years ago, and because this was basically out of necessity, because we really couldn't find the data we thought we needed, to design successful strategies and programs. So we got in touch with our university and experts there, and we kind of found each other really quickly because they had a desire for data to do research with, and we had a desire to get more information about the outcome of their research, about the behavior of SMEs and things like that. So I'm happy to share a link with all the participants to all the reports published over the past 5 years, about more than 15. Unfortunately, only in Dutch, but maybe Google Translate can help there. So.
Basics. Okay. There's one question that has come back to me, so I'll try and answer it quickly because it might be relevant for many people. Luke, so just allow me. It's this question on the European Digital Innovation Hub, and I think we know that the funding mechanism is quite complex, and the question is, what are the possibilities to integrate a support from Interreg Europe to projects that are funded by Horizon Europe? I mean, Anna and Kristaps, you can perhaps reply online, but I think the objective in any regional ecosystem is to fix your strategic objectives, whether you want to call them missions, whether you want to call them your transition agenda priorities, and then look for the different streams of funding that can support, and in the methods that you may be putting in place for the next Interreg programming period, looking at some of those broader support approaches. We're going to have 6 thematic priorities, main priorities, which one will be digital. So digital will be one of the opportunities to focus on, which could link to EDIH in the next programming period. And finding specific programs, I mentioned the Pillars 3 is one way to get a good alignment, I think, with the regional innovation ecosystem approach that we have in Interreg Europe. So, Françoise, I hope that's a little help. But you could also use one of the services that Arnaud mentioned in the beginning, and to delve into that issue, we could organise an online discussion, a matchmaking with people who have that experience. So many ways to skin the cat, pardon the expression, but that's different approaches. Luke, I think we're getting to the end of this session. We might want to be starting to work with Margaret. Arnaud, are there any other questions you think that appeared on the chat?
No, I don't see other questions, but please use the chat to send us your questions.
So thanks very much, Luke, for those insights. And I think you saw from the questions that were coming online that you've stimulated the thinking, and I think the regional innovation monitor is an excellent idea when put alongside the S3 or the S4 plus, because data helps. It's not the whole answer, but it certainly gives you some good foundation. So thanks, Luke, for sharing those insights and very practical ones.
Thank you.
Margaret.
Hello, Mark.
Good to see you. What's the weather like in Ireland today?
It's about 8 degrees today, getting a little bit cooler, but dry.
Good. So, no, because I noted in one of the chats that someone said, "Oh, we're all sitting down, and can't anybody stand up?" And I thought, well, if I stood up, you'd only see the middle of me. So I'm going to stay sitting down. But if we get some context, Margaret, from where you are, then at least we, it's.
Yeah, I'm in a beautiful, beautiful location, Mike, up in the northwest of Ireland, in Donegal.
Good. Well, bring us all back to earth with a bit of Industry 5.0. As I said earlier, yesterday's conference online poll said 55% haven't even heard of it. So how do you see this concept playing out in the next programming period? Are we in the sort of fact finding? Are we going to get into operational? Some of us haven't even got through 3.0. What are we talking about 5.0? So what's your feeling on this, Margaret? Because you've done a bit of work.
I discussed this with my digital regions partners, and I have to admit that most of them hadn't heard of it. And their reaction was, oh no, because everybody's still working on getting Industry 4.0 out into their ecosystems and getting engagement from businesses in manufacturing. So while I think it's a great concept, going green and sustainable and putting people at the center is all really positive. I think from what I've been hearing, from when I'm talking to people, I would rather see it called Industry 4.0 plus rather than 5.0, because then you start thinking, okay, are we going to get into, a 6 and then a 7? It's not really a massive paradigm shift as it was from the previous industrial revolutions. It's a kind of repositioning of Industry 4.0 with a re-emphasis, amplification of the role of green and circular and people. Of course, people. So I think the other reaction I'm getting is, well, Industry 4.0 is already green, because if you implement it and you do just-in-time production, you've got connected systems, you've got insights, that it's already doing a lot towards green. So I welcome the concepts with Industry 5.0 personally. I just think it needs a modicum of careful thought about how it's presented to the wider ecosystems, to make sure that we're not confusing people more than they seem to be already about making the jump into Industry 4.0.
You would have been very happy to hear the speaker yesterday from DG Grow, Margaret, because he basically said exactly the same thing. You could have been there. He said,
I wasn't there, but okay.
I know, because I would have perhaps seen you. But the point you've made there is the original, let's say, the definition of Industry 4.0 has the human dimension. It has these transition issues. It's the emphasis that collectively was taken to focus on X or Y, as opposed to this human dimension, which is being promoted, let's be clear, through DG RTD and DG Connect. But I think it's an emphasis, and the speaker was from the government, from the Catalan region, so industry department, so he'd seen this process and was taking a longer term look at, well, what is the actual definition. So And perhaps I can just add one other point before we move on to the other theme we wanted to talk to you, Margaret. A number of us we see the different definitions, and for your information, the S3 partnerships have often been talked about having cross-border innovation support and funding, and we've heard of many discussions previously the interregional investment agenda, the I3. Well, yesterday we heard that the call is now open. So I3, interregional innovation investment, is now open. And why is this relevant to what Margaret has just said? It's because 3 thematic priorities have been identified, not surprisingly green and digital transitions, but smart manufacturing is one of the main, well, the 3rd pillar of this first call for funding. So smart manufacturing for me equals, industry 4.0 plus.
I would agree.
And it avoids us adding another number, Margaret, as you said, because you don't want to be a has-been and you're only on 3.5 and someone else is already doing 5. So smart manufacturing could be a way. But I just thought I'd let you know, and I think when the full details, we can put more information on the policy learning platform. You're also, given the title of your organization, very interested in the digital innovation hubs, the European digital innovation hubs. Without maybe talking about the funding dimension, because that's almost without our control, what lessons can you bring to or share with people today about how these industry transition agenda issues can be supported by the digital innovation hub approach?
Well, I guess the digital innovation hubs are mobilizing, spearheading regional innovation. They're key resources for that kind of the collaboration between the ecosystem, the local ecosystem. And the other key strength of the EDIH is the link to other hubs across Europe. So, Industry 4.0 or 4.0 plus, whatever, it's pretty complex. So you can't expect any one region to have all the answers. So I think that's a key part of that network. We have established here in Ireland an EDIH called Data to Sustain, and it brings together several technical institutes, higher education establishments like Insight, National University of Ireland, Galway, and technical institutes of Galway, Mayo, and Donegal, which are actually becoming a technological university as well. So what that's doing is coordinating the strengths that we have regionally in research around Industry 4.0, and also systematically building the coordination with our ecosystems. So I'm very optimistic about the impact that this is going to have on SMEs innovation, because that's a key focus, bringing that innovation from the universities, the higher education institutes out into the university, out into the ecosystem, that outreach. Another aspect of them is their training. They will expose what they can do to give short bursts of training to SMEs. And also, I guess, signposting about funding, which is a really key thing for uptake of SMEs in any kind of new innovation, whether it's Industry 4 or 5, whatever.
To what extent in the Digital Regions project were you able to exchange on good practices regarding how you measure the demand from SMEs? Because we can sit and imagine that they need these type of services, etc. But did any of the regions bring up particular interesting ideas on how are we assessing or understanding the demands of SMEs to make sure the services and the things you've just mentioned, signposting, are aligned with those needs?
Okay, well, in digital regions, we have countries that are highly strong innovators like Switzerland and Germany, Upper Franconia, our region of northwest of Ireland, and also Slovenia, Bulgaria, Romania. So some were less innovative, but we all found the same results, that SMEs were not fully aware of what Industry 4.0 was about its benefits, where they could get funding. So what we started to talk about within digital regions and the good practice that we were sharing was trying to move on from those challenges faced by SMEs of the lack of time, resources, know-how to innovate. So we had some really good practices, and I'll call out one, which is the Swiss Smart Factory, their approach to an open platform for innovation. Anna's already shared the link into Digital Regions Good Practices, so please go there and look them up. And there were some great programs in Portugal for regional innovation programs for Industry 4.0 for a specific sector, like maybe agriculture, looking at Internet of Things and so on. The good practice that was really strong from Ireland is the technology gateways, which are one, for example, here in Donegal, we have the WiseR Lab, which is about Internet of Things and mobile wireless technologies. And that, again, is, if you like, it's a bit already like a digital innovation that's exposed to industry. And that's had really good results in getting organizations to make small steps, a small innovation pilot, and then get an appetite. So I think I read a stat that about 71% of them who start doing some small eye for innovation then get the appetite and move on to other innovations. So yeah, that's been very useful in digital regions. Yeah. And a lot of us are talking now in our action plans is how can we all work together as innovation agencies to increase engagement from SMEs. And this is looking at senior management in manufacturing businesses to give them the inspiration to be championing innovation within their businesses. And also at schools, how can we stimulate thinking in schools and in careers teachers to understand what's happening, that there's fantastic careers in industry and in manufacturing. So we're kind of attacking both ends. Another thing that's coming through within all of the digital regions partners is how the stakeholder groups we're forming are looking for longevity. They want to have a more permanent structure to work together. And I think with us, the EDIH will be a component of that, how we keep this momentum going and how we continue to build our ecosystem, our local regional collaboration.
Well, I think you've picked up on a number of key points, Margaret, so many thanks for that. And the good practices you highlighted can all be found on the digital platform, the policy learning platform, can share with you. We've seen some interesting feedback on the I3. Johanna has kindly followed the link I suggested and is telling us all the info day will be the 9th of December for those who are interested. So live information. Margaret also finished, this is the last point before Arnaud kicks me off, the talent and training issue you highlighted in your last set is extremely important. Europe needs 20 million skilled workers for the digital transition.
Yep.
All of the major regions are not only looking to attract key talent, but they're looking to retain talent. So we've got a big challenge ahead in managing these transitions. And in the news today, I hear that one of Renault's major metal bashing factories will close 350 jobs because there is 25% less metal in an electric engine. So the transition is real. It's impacting jobs today, and we have to get the skill sets and connect the regions so we can make these new challenges less difficult for our regions to be impacted on. Job losses being the most evident one. So thanks, Margaret, for sharing the insights for digital regions. I'd urge all of you to have a look at that. And now Arnaud's just going to take us through a few of the final points. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Thank you to our speakers, Luke and Margaret. Just a few final remarks, maybe from Anna first, and then from you, Mark, on this session, but very, very quick. Anna?
Thank you very much. I'll try to be quick. Thank you very much for this interesting exchange. We're really lucky to have the speakers with us here to help us all navigate this whole new perspective of trying to keep up with the changing priorities in this developing world, like we can see with the 5.0 concept, the controversial 5.0 concept, at least in this chat room. However, this brings us to a really quick point that I would like to make. What's awaiting in the next period? And here I'm referring to the new program. And from our end, which might facilitate the further discussions, we can definitely confirm that these topics that we're addressing in TO1, for the most part, most of them are really remaining key topics in the new programming period. So we will remain your support in organizing these types of discussions, supporting interesting projects, etc. So the only thing I can say as a final thought is please keep an eye on our website. We keep publishing all of the information relevant for the next call, as well as all the practical information regarding POP as usual. And thank you once again to our experts and also to the wonderful speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for your final remarks. So we had a lot of participants, more than 350 participants. So now you know what we do at the Policy Learning Platforms. We have a lot of very nice events, just to mention a few of those. Friday, 10th of December, we will have an online workshop on clusters, how can cluster drive the digital and green twin transition. So we will have also great speakers and also time for exchanges and interregional learning. So please, you can register to these great workshops. We will also have like peer reviews coming up next, one in Bulgaria, one in Friesland in the Netherlands, and one in Upper Silesia in Poland. Maybe, Mark, you can tell us a little bit about peer reviews and the topics you are going to address in Bulgaria and in the Netherlands.
Yeah, first, just remind you all that the Policy Learning Platform service portfolio is on demand. We don't set any priorities. We have services that you then put the content. So when I saw the survey that says 80% of the people who joined us today haven't used these services, then think about them, because they are tailored from 1 or 2 hour sessions to 2-day sessions. And the 2-day session is like at the pinnacle of our engagement alongside the regions. Peer reviews have a very simple concept. You have a particular policy challenge that you believe can be helped by engaging with external, I won't call them experts, but external practitioners for a particular policy challenge that you may face. And not only do these experts, practitioners come with you, but you bring stakeholders into the same room so they can hear it. So it's not just you repeating what you've heard, so they can hear an exchange. So the two, let's say, that are planned currently in Bulgaria, we're working alongside the Ministry of Science and Education that are spending between 50 and 60 million of national and ERDF money on creating a network of centers of excellence, centers of competence, technology transfer, helping SMEs access information, knowledge, research from the university and technology sectors in Bulgaria.
All
so
right.
we're going to bring four experts to share. And in Friesland, completely different approach, where community level funding small grants of 15 to 2,000 euros are being developed and deployed, and they want to try and make that service better. So early in January, mid-January, we'll be taking the PLP roadshow to them with experts that we found across Europe. Wasn't the easiest one, but we do find the experts in our network, which network
All right.
is you.
Thank you, Mark. And please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions and if you have like great topics you want to share with us for next events. We have the last question for you in the poll. So are you planning to apply to the 2021-2027 Interreg program? Anna, one word, what word of advice for our participants?
Well, for starters, see to the end of this event tomorrow, especially with the session dedicated to the new program, and keep an eye on the website because we post all the news timely, and yeah, we're here.
All right,
website. And will be in the upcoming period.
Excellent website and this event. Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you everyone. Thank you for being here, to the audience, but also to our speakers, and of course, Anna, Kristaps, great to have you here as well. And we hope to see you all very soon in our next events. So thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Arnaud.
Thank you,
Thanks for
everyone.
joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Imagine if you could easily find solutions to make your region or city smarter, greener, better connected, more social, and closer to citizens. The Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform can help you access knowledge about the latest policy trends, discover expert-validated good practices from all over Europe, find solutions in our peer review, get tailored support from our expert team. We can connect you with the right people and organizations. Together, we will find ways to solve your region's or city's challenges. Start your policy learning journey today.